Thanks again for being here. We begin tonight at the Presidential State House in Abuja, where President Bola Tinubu on Thursday presided over the Federal Executive Council FERC meeting. The meeting had in attendance Vice President Kashim Shettima, Chief of Staff to the President Femi Gbajabiamila, National Security Advisor NSA Nuhu Ribadu, Head of the Civil Service of the Federation Dr. Didi Walson-Jack, and Permanent Secretary, Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Emerson Imabong. Also at the meeting are other cabinet members, including the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, Budget and Economic Planning Senator Atiku Bagudu, and Information and National Orientation, Muhammad Idris, among others. Highlight of the meeting was the observation of a minute of silence in honor of former Minister of both the Federal Capital Territory and Police Affairs, Navy Captain Chris Caleb Olubolade, retired, who passed on March the 10th, 2025. Also, before the meeting, President Tinubu swore in Nana Uzo Kalu as a member of the National Assembly Service Commission. Let's go to the courts now. The Court of Appeal sitting in Akure has affirmed the election of Lucky Ayedatiwa and Dr. Olayide Adelami as the Governor and Deputy Governor of Ondo State in the November 16, 2024 governorship election. This was sequel to the dismissal of the appeals of some political parties against the judgment of the Ondo State Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal of June 4, 2025, which affirmed the election of the All Progressive Congress candidates. Recall that the People's Democratic Party, African Democratic Congress, Allied People's Movement, and Social Development Party had filed appeals against the judgment of the tribunal, asking for the invalidation of the November 16, 2024 governorship election. For this conversation, we have Liberaso Shoma, a legal practitioner and a political analyst. Thank you very much for joining us to share your thoughts on this latest ruling. The Supreme Court had already ruled on Ayedatiwa's candidacy. The tribunal also ruled on the matter. Was there need for this further appeal?
Yeah, thank you. You'll find out that politicians go to court not necessarily because they believe that they have a case, but to assuage the confidence that their supporters have in them. You know, in Nigeria, once political matters are discussed, reasoning, critical thinking takes flight. So most times you find out that after election, it is typical for politicians to approach the court, because if you do not go to court, the tendency for your supporters to support you in the next election cycle will be very slim, because there's this belief that you refuse to go to court because you have been settled, you have been compromised. Even though these same people will tell you that the court, you know, they don't have faith in the court, but they still want you to go to court. So that's basically what we see, you know, over time. And that's why, like you rightly noted, the courts, the tribunals, Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court consistently keep ruling on the same issue, keep ruling on the same matter, repeating the same precedent. And yet, every election, you hear that, you know, politicians will want to approach the court. They'll tell you they'll go to court to claim their mandate. And in some cases, when they are telling people that they want to claim their mandate in public space and in social media, they get to court, they're asking for different prayers altogether. So basically, I think that the reason why they go to court is because they just want to, you know, keep that confidence that their supporters have in them burning. Quickly, I would point you to Section 137 of the Electoral Act. You know, there's this belief that Section 137 has completely eliminated, you know, the need for oral evidence, which is what had happened in this case, also happened in the case of Edo, happened in the case of Ondo, you know. But Section 137 only permits, you know, the use of oral as documentary evidence, you know, if the documentary evidence points conclusively to the non-compliance. The moment the documentary evidence is not able to establish, conclusively the issue of non-compliance, Section 137 cannot avail the petitioner. That is the position of the Supreme Court. You still need to call oral evidence. And like I had said, 6 months is not enough for you to prove election irregularity in an entire state, especially when you are claiming, irregularity in more than, in some cases, 500 polling units.
Electoral laws or precedents for the Ondo State people, if any?
I didn't get your question.
I'm asking what does this ruling add to perhaps the electoral process or setting of precedents for the electoral process in the locality?
Yeah, nothing. What the ruling just had done, this judgment had reiterated and regurgitated, the precedent has already been set by, the courts, the higher courts, that electoral matters for irregularities, you don't just come allege irregularities and then, expect the courts to go, do your job. And that in some cases, the court will say that you have dumped materials on them. Even if you read the judgment of the courts, some of the petitions were claimed to have been abandoned because, there were not enough witnesses to substantiate the allegation, pleaded therein. So there's nothing new for the people. What had just been said is what the court had consistently said. So what we should do, if we truly do not believe, in the ballot, then we should tinker with our electoral system, electoral acts to ensure that the issue of electronic transmission of results is real-time, the issue of collation and manipulation of votes is eliminated so as, to give more confidence to the process. But unfortunately, unfortunately, we are not even discussing in that direction, where people are agitating for amendment of the Electoral Act and electoral reforms. The National Assembly seems not to be bothered. And quickly, I must say this. You find out that now, the APC as a political party, the new chairman of the APC as a political party, was a former resident electoral commissioner in Benue State from 2017 to 2022. And also, he's a professor of electrical engineering, major in ICT. What does that tell you? And you're going into an election with APC, whose chairman was a member of the electoral body, who definitely would have, information as regards electoral.
But he will swear oaths. He won't swear oaths, and he will do his best. I hope not to sabotage the legal process. But let's stay on course. Let's stay on course and take a look at some of the court rulings that we have on this case. You've clearly stated in your submission that some of these cases are really not necessary. And then it begs the question, why do lawyers in your profession not advise their clients against pursuing cases that are most likely to end in futility? Isn't it a waste of judicial process? I mean, time that could have been expended on adjudicating on cases that are more important will be spent on these.
Yeah, quickly, before I go into this, I must still say this, even though you want us to stay on course. But I am saying it because I might not be opportune to say it again. Once somebody has occupied the office of an umpire, it's a moral body, even though there's nothing in the law that says you cannot become a member of a political party. It becomes a moral burden for you to still occupy the position of a chairman of a political party. But that said, the politicians in Nigeria, nobody advised them. In some cases, the politicians is the one that will tell you what he wants. That it is for you as a lawyer, you want money, they were ready to pay you, go to court, this is what they want to achieve. But also, until the bar and the bench begins to sanction lawyers for bringing frivolous application, we're going to consistently have such frivolous petitions like that, where lawyers will all they do is to satisfy the whims and caprices of their clients, the politicians, because you can't reject brief. And so the politicians want you to go to court because they believe they want to assuage, you know, the demands of their electorate, of their supporters, because if they don't go to court, the supporters will not support them next time. And then they need a lawyer to do that. And then you can't say you won't do it. Okay. But if there is a sanction, you know as a lawyer that you'll be sanctioned for bringing a frivolous petition. Certainly you wouldn't want to risk your certificate.
Okay, I guess the ball is in your court in that one. But I wasn't stopping that conversation. I just wanted us to conclude one. To go back to your comment, it's pertinent that the public understand some of these things. You say that the new chairman of the APC, national chairman, used to be a wreck. He does not have a legal obligation, but a moral obligation to perhaps not take that position. I would want you to speak a little more on that. And also, is there a precedence to a former wreck becoming a national chairman or chairman of a political party, and what played out with that?
Yeah, there are a lot of, you know, for you to become a chairman of INEC and even a resident electoral commissioner, the law says that you must be persons of unquestionable character. You must also not be partisan. But we've seen situations where even people who are politicians, people who are partisans, are nominated to become resident electoral commissioner. The case of what do you call it? What's this lady that was special advisor to Buhari? You know, it's still fresh in our memory, and it was rejected. We've also seen cases where some persons are nominated as resident electoral commissioners, and they are rejected at this, during screening. But also, we saw Jega, who was a former INEC chairman, who left as INEC chairman and went to join, you know, I think was in the SDP now, but he didn't really go far. But what I am saying here is that as a electoral umpire, there are some, what do you call it, information that you will be privileged to. There are some internal workings of the election or electoral umpire that you'll be privy to, that ordinarily, even when you leave, those information should dial with you. That's why in some cases we say you sign a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA. So, but a situation where we are saying that as politicians, you should not occupy the office of an electoral umpire. But what happens when you leave the office of electoral umpire, you go back into politics? Those information, those secrets that you have garnered from the electoral umpire, the office of the electoral umpire, are you not going to use them to the advantage of a political party, especially when that political party is a ruling party and is going to play, you know, with other political parties? So that's why I say it's a moral burden. And if we are amending our electoral act, all of these are issues that also the, what do you call it, National Assembly should look into in amending the act, so that people don't just get nominated to become resident electoral commissioners or chairmen, and then they gather information to the benefit and advantage of their party, and then they resign or they leave that position, and then move into the political party, and then use those information and the advantage.
I guess we do have
relationship that they have with that body to the disadvantage of other political parties.
We do have a lot of issues to address when it comes to our election. I'm sorry, we're really out of time. I'm sorry to interrupt, but we're really out of time for this conversation. But thank you, as always.
It's so playing field for all political parties. That's what I'm saying is really no personal issues.
Thank you very much for speaking with us. We appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
Coming up, Senator Dino Melaye dumps PDP, says party now impotent. Details of this and more when we come back. You're watching Tonight on News Central. A reminder of our top stories. President Bola Tinubu presides over Federal Executive Council meeting, observes moment of mourning for late former FCT minister. Appeal Court affirms election of APC's Lucky Ayedatiwa as governor of Ondo State. U.S. court hears argument over Donald Trump's power to impose tariffs following ruling he had exceeded his authority. Staying with politics, a crisis seems to be brewing in the coalition Action Democratic Congress as the deputy national chairman of the party, Nasir Bala, says that he has assumed the position of acting national chairman of the party. This follows claims that the duly elected chairman and members of the executive committee of the party have resigned. While speaking to newsmen in Abuja, Bala says that claims that members of the coalition have already assigned themselves national positions is false, illegal, and cannot stand.
No outsider can come on the same day, and if you are personally decided to resign your position, you cannot take somebody outside the party, is not even the party member, on the same day he is unveiling himself as a party member to transfer power to him. Is unconstitutional. It's against the electoral act. It's against our party constitution. Our stand is, as a deputy national chairman, duly elected during the last conventions in Zaria, held in Zaria, I resume office as an acting national chairman of the party, pending next convention.
Former Senator representing Kogi West, Dino Melaye, has formally resigned from the People's Democratic Party, PDP, citing the party's inability to provide credible leadership. In a resignation later shared on his official X account and addressed to the chairman of the PDP in Ward 1, Ayetoro Bede, Ijumu local government area of Kogi State, Melaye announced his immediate withdrawal from all party activities. Melaye, who once served as the PDP's candidate in the 2023 Kogi State governorship election, said his decision followed deep reflection on the party's current state and trajectory. A bold conversation, I'm joined by political analyst Dotun Oladipo to share his view on the theatrics going on ahead of the 2027 election. Mr. Bala says the ADC constitution provides clear succession procedures that, based on those guidelines, he has now assumed the role of interim national chairman. Is this the correct interpretation of the party's constitution in your view? If yes, could he get his day in court as a result?
Well, what has happened is not strange to those who have been following developments in the polity. The decision of the leadership of the party to give the coalition that platform to use in 2027 is not expected to go unchallenged. But what is clear to an extent is the fact that those who decided on the usage of the platform of that party for that coalition, they did some homework. And like some of us noted before now, one of the reasons why the coalition decided on using the ADC, according to them then, is the fact that the constitution makes it flexible to move into that party, use this as a vehicle, and then move on. So it is not unexpected what is going on.
But it doesn't seem like, from what we are seeing in the media, it doesn't seem like they did a thorough homework before they came into the party. Look at the allegations flying around, and then you had today's declaration and threats of litigation. How much of a legitimacy question are we looking at with the Atiku-led coalition, taking into consideration also that it was the party's founder and former national chairman, Ralph Wosu, who dissolved the NWC and endorsed the interim leadership of former Senate President David Mark?
That's why I said the homework was done. So let's see how much of legitimacy the deputy national chairman will get. Because I'm sure that nobody would have embarked on a journey like that, not even the founder. Because if he wasn't sure of himself, I mean, I'm talking of Ralph Nwosu now. He wouldn't have done what he did. And when you look at the movement of the coalition, it all started from, do we use the Social Democratic Party? Do we use this other party? Do we register a new one? In fact, at some point we were told about that the coalition had registered and was planning to register close to 10 parties for this purpose. So in settling for the ADC, they did some work. And like you said, let's see how far the deputy national chairman can go.
Okay, let's widen this conversation and look at leadership. Some have argued that we still have a huge problem with leadership for the country generally, citing the questions and the controversy around this coalition that we have, ADC, the internal wrangling in the APC, and what you have in the PDP as the opposition. They seem unable to keep their houses in order. How would they hope to manage Nigeria? That's the big question in everybody, on most people's mind.
Well, what we've always failed to address, and which the Independent National Electoral Commission keeps hammering on, is the fact that there is no internal democracy within our parties. And I'm a supporter of the fact that we need to go back to running our parties the way we learned it was done in the Second Republic, where the people own the party and not a few individuals. For instance, it was a different ballgame in the Second Republic, where we had the leadership of the party being superior to political actors, whether they are appointees or elected. For instance, in the Second Republic, the national chairman of the party was, in a way, quote and unquote, now superior to the president. And those at the state level, the chairmen, they were superior to the governors because they were charting the course for those elected to follow. It was not the other way around. Now it is the other way around.
Okay. I have so many questions for you. In the interest of time, I want you to speak quickly to the question around two obviously intending presidential candidates being in a coalition like the ADC. We know for a fact that Peter Obi has his ambition to be president. Atiku Abubakar has his ambition to be president. That kind of coalition, there's speculation around it. I would like to hear your thoughts.
Well, there are more than two. Don't forget you've not added Rotimi Amechi. Don't forget in that coalition you also have Kayode Fayemi. So don't forget also Nasir El-Rufai. So even if El-Rufai says I want to support a Southerner, then that will now mean he's knocking himself out. So there are so many of them there. What I see happening is that Atiku, if he goes into that contest, will most likely emerge. It's almost 90% certain. So some people who still believe that they must run will leave and go and run on other platforms. That's what I see happening.
It's curious, isn't it, that you're in a coalition that you probably won't get the ticket. But moving on quickly, Dino Melaye has announced that he's no longer a member of the PDP. Just a couple of days ago, I spoke to a chieftain of the PDP, Dr. Adetokunbo Pierce, who seemed very optimistic, and I dare say he is quite confident about the party's chances, as he says they were working together to ensure that happens. And then we hear news like this, that even more prominent names are leaving the party. It isn't looking really good for the PDP right now, is it?
Well, it isn't, but the exit of Dino Melaye should not come as a shock to anyone. We know he's an ally of Atiku Abubakar, and the likelihood of going in Atiku's direction is very high. But don't also forget, there are reports that the PDP is already saying to Peter Obi that now that Atiku has left and we are likely going to go for a southern candidate, please return. And in fact, one of the chieftains of the party said they visited him in his home just to pass on this message and plead with him to return to the to the PDP. So while some are leaving, some who are within that system still believe that they can make the party a strong one. And the calculation is, if Obi agrees to return to the PDP, then you can imagine the number that is obedience, that's the supporters, are likely to take back to the PDP. So it's a matter of expecting more movements in different directions. And between now and the end of the year, we'll see a lot of that. We'll see a lot of that. How it now pans out at the end of the day is what we wait to see in 2027.
As they say, it's the political season, so we should expect the unexpected and the expected. Thank you very much, Dr. for speaking with us and sharing insights.
Thank you for having me too. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Still ahead tonight, Islamic cleric gets death sentence for killing 24-year-old student in Kwara State. We'll tell you more when we come back. Thanks for staying with us. A Kwara State High Court sitting in Ilorin has sentenced Abdurrahman Bello to death by hanging for the murder of Hafsa Lawal, a 24-year-old final-year student of the Kwara State College of Education. Delivering judgment on Thursday, Justice Hannah Ajayi found Bello guilty after 4 months of trial. Meanwhile, 4 co-defendants, Ahmed Abdulwasai, Suleiman Muhyiddin, Jamiu Uthman, and Abdurrahman Jamiu, were discharged and acquitted.
Since the beginning of this court case, we have been here several times for the sitting. We thank Almighty Allah for giving us a victory, justice, as we are expecting it to be done.
The 4 others have been discharged, whereas we told you right from the inception that we can't, as a lawyer, we cannot make pronouncement that they will be exonerated at the end. We cannot preempt the court. But we knew, mere looking at their charges and all the exhibits filed along with it, we knew that they were not liable, and they are not probably to be charged to get that proof against them. You can recall the other time when the men of DSS came, they exonerated them.
The National Orientation Agency has issued a critical advisory urging Nigerians to exercise utmost responsibility in the use of their U.S. visas in order to prevent inclusion under a potential expansion of American restrictions. Director General of NOA, Lancei Toure, notes that the notice follows growing concerns expressed by the United States government regarding instances of visa misuse by certain Nigerian travelers. The advisory underscores that U.S. authorities maintain rigorous surveillance over visa holders' conduct throughout their stay in the country. Any breach of U.S. laws or participation in activities that deviate from the stated purpose of travel may result in visa cancellation, deportation, or legal prosecution. As Nigeria's crude oil output reaches an all-time high, surpassing OPEC expectations, host communities of the Eastern Corridor pipeline have attributed the success to the federal government's introduction of a pipeline surveillance approach. Consistent with this, the Eastern Corridor pipeline host communities comprising Rivers, Bayelsa and Abia states converged in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital, to evaluate the technical approach and overall performance of Pipeline Infrastructure Nigeria Limited, a surveillance agency responsible for protecting the Trans-Niger Pipeline, a subsidiary in the Eastern Corridor. News Central's Biola Festus was there.
The Eastern Corridor pipeline is strategic for transporting crude oil from extraction points to export terminals in the eastern region of Nigeria. For decades, this critical pipeline has been plagued by man-made challenges, including vandalism, crude oil theft, and illegal refining. To stem the tide of these nefarious practices, the federal government introduced pipeline surveillance in 2022, placing the pipelines in the Eastern Corridor under the purview of Pipeline Infrastructure Nigeria Limited, PINL. 2 years down the line, stakeholders from communities where the Trans-Niger pipeline traverses have come together to examine the surveillance capabilities of PINL.
We are highly satisfied with the manner in which PINL is conducting its operations across our various communities. We commend the management and staff of PINL for their technical competence in securing this TNP. Beyond direct engagement with community leadership, numerous unemployed youths were provided with jobs in pipeline and surveillance roles. This has significantly reduced youth unemployment and enhanced peace and stability in the grassroots level. With the coming on board of PINL, today crude oil throughput on the TNP has risen to nearly close to 100%, with new near zero infractions as historic achievements that deserve a national recognition. With these rapid response teams and technical capabilities, PINL has promptly addressed pipeline damages that would have otherwise caused environmental disasters. Its zero-tolerance approach towards vandalism and sustained war against vandals and fire operators has drastically reduced environmental pollution, especially the elimination of soot caused by fire activities.
According to data released by OPEC in June this year, Nigeria has surpassed the 1.5 million barrel per day crude oil production quota.
There is no way, if the downstream does not work in harmony or does not work in signage or is not working, there's no way it will reflect on that abyss. So it takes the absolute response of PINL within that pipeline. Understand that it is the most crucial pipeline in Nigeria right now. And if it is recording this tremendous results, or any other person can go back and sleep. Or what we urge government to do is try and expand the scope.
Pipeline infrastructure has done well, and that is why, as people living, working, or original native of the Trans-Niger pipeline that cut across Abia, Imo, Rivers, and Bayelsa, we will continue to say the truth as they are, and the truth at this material time is that pipeline infrastructure has been efficient and effective in the delivery of the services hereby given to them by the government of Nigeria to protect pipelines.
In their assessment of PINL, stakeholders highlighted the company's high-level expertise, effective approach to corporate social responsibility, and extensive empowerment of locals as key factors contributing to PINL's successful and unhindered operations in their respective domains.
Pipeline infrastructure went into our communities, gave us a good community approach that have led to the peace we are having in Ekpe land today. Unlike before, where you will see over 21 points being clamped on a monthly basis, and you start asking, wondering what is happening. But today, because of the advent, because of the contract that has been given to pipeline infrastructure, we no longer see that happening. And our environment has become peaceful, even the security aspect of it. Because when boys are meaningfully engaged, you will discover that there will be no much idle minds.
Pipeline infrastructure come for a business. They have been doing 100% massive work, and the host community are finally behind them. We are giving them 100% security that pipeline infrastructure is the company that we believe they can do more better. So we want federal government to give them more facility that they can take out the host community because of their good result.
Consistent with PINL's performance over the past 2 years, host communities of the Eastern Corridor pipeline have confirmed that oil theft and illegal refining, a recurring problem among youths in their domains, have been significantly curtailed. The stakeholders left no one in doubt about their optimism that the operations of PINL have been instrumental in actualizing President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda in Nigeria's oil-producing belts. In Port Harcourt, for News Central, Biola Festus.
Many thanks, Biola. Friends, business leaders, captains of industry, staff and well-wishers gathered in Lagos to celebrate the birthday, leadership and entrepreneurial milestones of industrialist and businesswoman Chief Diana Chen. News Center's Perpetua Fasomi Peter witnessed the occasion and filed in this report.
Chief Diana Chen's story, as we've heard today, is one that resonates far beyond the boardroom. As chairman of CIG, she has redefined what it means to lead with purpose and principle.
It was no ordinary gathering, as friends, business associates, staff, and well-wishers drawn from different walks of life showered encomiums on the Chinese-born industrialist and chairman of Choice International Group, owners of GAC Motors, Gree Air Conditioners, Lonto, and Lagride, which is a partnership with the Lagos State government.
I like her tenacity and her ability to want to make an impact. You are a champion, you are hardworking, you are energetic. Thank you for all the work that you are doing, building different people and building brands, in Nigeria.
You see many Chinese people, with every courtesy and respect. As I said to her once, it's probably not all of them that we want around us. She is one example of those that we want around us who actually mean well. They're investing capital, they're putting money to work, they're trying to open new doors, new borders, and the story goes on and on and on.
Visibly delighted, Chief Diana Chen expressed admiration for the entrepreneurial spirit of Nigerians, speaking passionately about her vision for the brands under the CIG umbrella.
Lagride, I wish and we plan to build it as one of the most reliable transportation means for negotiations. When I calculate something so good for the Lagride driver, I was so happy. I'm happy just because I finished that simple paper writing. I immediately give to my ED. I said, ED, use this one. Use this one, you can immediately change all those Lagride drivers become the car owner within 2 years.
The event later transitioned into full celebration mode, with guests joining in a birthday song led by music star Inyanya and sharing goodwill messages.
Happy birthday to you.
Beyond business, Chief Diana Chen is celebrated for her philanthropy. Recently, through her foundation, she sponsored 25 students from Yaba College of Technology for an 18-month diploma program in China. In Lagos, for News Central, I am Perpetua Fasomi Peter.
And we wish you all the best.
Outside Nigeria, at least 10 people have died amid damage caused in Guinea's capital, Conakry, by heavy overnight rains. Another 3 people are missing, while many buildings were said to have collapsed during the downpour, trapping residents in floodwaters. The deaths added to a toll of 15 the government previously gave from flooding that has gripped the West African country since the end of June. The director of Guinea's National Agency for Emergency and Humanitarian Disaster Management on Tuesday said that the urban inundations were worsened by uncontrolled construction and clogged gutters. And one of our headlines tonight, the United States Federal Appeals Court is closely examining the legality of former President Donald Trump's sweeping tariffs on imported goods. This follows a lower court's decision that ruled Trump overstepped his authority with the levies, which it described as reciprocal tariffs. In Washington, D.C. on Thursday, a panel of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit, comprising 8 judges appointed by Democratic presidents and 3 by Republicans, heard oral arguments in 2 related cases. The lawsuits were brought by 5 small American businesses and 12 states led by Democratic governors. Let's go now to Perpetua for tonight's business news. Hello, Perpetua.
Hi, Felicity. The National Bureau of Statistics reports a sharp rise in fuel prices. According to the report, petrol averaged at 1,037 naira 66 kobo per litre in June 2025, up 38.32% from 750 naira 17 kobo in June 2024. Diesel rose to 1,813 naira 81 kobo per litre, a 23.98% year-on-year increase. Jigawa, Ondo and Lagos recorded the highest petrol prices, while Yobe and Kogi had the lowest. Diesel prices peaked in Benue and Adamawa, but were lowest in Ondo and Anambra. Regionally, the Northwest had the highest petrol cost, while the South-South paid most for diesel. The report highlights growing economic pressure on consumers amid persistent energy inflation. And University of Nigeria PLC has announced plans to acquire Chi Limited from the Coca-Cola Company, though the deal is pending regulatory approval. USA's Group Managing Director Fola Ayesimoju described the deal as a major step toward enhancing USA's footprint in Africa's food and beverage industry. He praised Chi's legacy of innovation and expressed enthusiasm about collaborating with its team to drive future growth. To stock markets now, the All-Share Index ended the last trading day of July in positive territory, lifted by gains in Dangote Cement and Aradel, despite an overall bearish market session. The index, which opened the month at 119,978.57 points, advanced by 16.57% month-on-month to close July at 139,863.52. Now let's take a look at the snapshot. We can see it's up 42 basis points and closing 139,863.52. Have market capitalization 88.42 trillion naira. I mean, I thought we were going to hit the 140,000 mark for July 31, but of course that didn't happen. So we're looking forward to August to see if that's going to happen. To sector performance now, we saw broad-based gains across key sectors except for insurance, which took a sharp hit. Now let's begin with the banking sector. We can see it's up 8 basis points, and that's as a result of gains in UBA, Access Corporation, and Zenith Bank, which of course was able to offset declines in First Holdco and GTCO. For insurance is down. This is a major hit, 4.31%. That made it the worst performer for today. And conversely, for oil and gas, we can see that oil and gas is up 94 basis points. Consumer goods is down 2 basis points. And industrial goods is up 1.35%. That's the best performer for the day and also the best performer month to date. And that's a wrap on Business Tonight. I am Perpetua Fazamapita. Tonight continues with Felicity.
Sports Tonight is with Tunde. Hello, Tunde.
Thank you very much, Felicity. And it's time for sports. Nigeria's Super Eagles B team were held to a 2-2 draw by Zanzibar in a Chan 2024 warm-up match on Thursday. The Eagles led 2-0 at halftime thanks to goals from last MPFL season's top scorer Anas Yusuf of Nasarawa United and Remo Stars midfielder Adedayo Olamilekan. A series of second-half substitutions seemed to disrupt their momentum, which Zanzibar capitalized on to level the game. Super Eagles coach Eric Schell had made 5 changes to the lineup from the previous goalless draw, with new additions boosting the early attacking edge. Despite failing to secure the win, key players impressed, and the team gained valuable match fitness. The friendly offered both positives and areas for improvement ahead of Nigeria's Chan Group D opener against defending champion Senegal on the 5th of August. Now, Nigeria's national women's basketball team, the Tigers, are currently leading Cameroon in the final quarterfinal match for the 2025 FIBA Women's AfroBasket at the Palladium Sports in Trenchville, Abidjan. The scoreline is currently 41-29. It's halftime right now. The Tigers are undefeated in AfroBasket since 2015 and are chasing a historic 5th straight title on a 26-game winning streak. In other results from matches played to date, South Sudan narrowly edged Uganda 69-68 in a very close encounter. Mali beat Burkina Faso 86-69, while host Cote d'Ivoire were eliminated 66-60 by Senegal, who are led by former B Tigers coach Otis Hewley. And if they win tonight, Nigeria will face Senegal in the semi-final, while Mali take on South Sudan. The International Federation of American Football, in collaboration with the NFL, has officially announced that the German city of Dusseldorf will host the 2026 IFAF Flag Football World Championships from the 13th to the 16th of August in 2026. Nigeria will field teams in both the men's and women's events after winning both the men's and women's titles at the inaugural African Flag Football Championships in Cairo, Egypt in June. The announcement marks a pivotal moment in the global rise of flag football, a sport that is growing in popularity and is poised for its Olympic debut in LA 2028. Flag football in Nigeria is run by the Nigerian American Football Association, an organization dedicated to growing the game of American football in Nigeria. And in 6 years of its existence, NAFA has introduced the game of American football directly to over 10,000 young men and women in 18 states of the country and in over 300 schools. And finally, Victor Osimhen received a hero's welcome in Istanbul on Wednesday night as Galatasaray completed his record 75 million euro permanent transfer from Napoli, the most expensive deal in Turkish football history. Thousands of fans gathered at the airport to greet the 26-year-old who scored 37 goals in 41 matches during a sensational 2024-25 loan spell. His performances helped Galatasaray secure the Turkish Super League and Turkish Cup titles. Osimhen's relentless work ethic and big game impact earned him iconic status among fans and convinced the club to seal a long-term deal. He has had his medical today and has been unveiled at the Rams Park for Galatasaray. We hear that he will earn 15 million euros per season during the duration of his contract. And that's all we have for sports tonight. It's back to you, Felicity. All right, now let's jump right into entertainment. Now, the National Inland Waterways Authority, NIWA, has finally spoken out about the tragic boat accident that claimed the life of Nollywood's star Junior Pope and 4 others in 2024. According to them, it all came down to human error. During a recent transport forum in Abuja, NIWA MD Bola Oyebamiji said that the incident or the accident wasn't caused by bad weather or mechanical failure, but by people refusing to follow basic safety rules, like wearing life jackets. He stressed how heartbreaking it is that some of the passengers rejected life jackets before taking off. Now, the group was returning from a shooting at the time of the boat incident. Now, Felicity, what's interesting about this conversation is he said some of the people who went on that boat refused to take life jackets. Now,
yeah, we've had instances like that when people feel they're, I mean, it can happen to me, it can happen to me, and then we disregard some basic rule. But, I mean, it is what it is. It has happened. I mean, I hope that people in the future, when they go to such events, they will take better care not to fall prey.
Interesting. Now let's talk about Justin Timberlake. Yes, Justin Timberlake is opening up about a tough personal battle. In a heartfelt Instagram post, he revealed that he's been quietly dealing with Lyme disease while wrapping up his Forget Tomorrow World Tour. He said the diagnosis helped explain the intense fatigue and nerve pain he'd been experiencing on stage. Though it hasn't been easy, like he said, JT chose to keep performing, saying the joy he gets from being on stage made it all worth it. He's not sure what the future holds for his live shows, but he shared his story to clear the air and support others facing similar struggles. Now, Felicity, this came as a shocker to everyone. You know, Justin Timberlake, people love him for his artistry and everything, and he's just come out to say this.
When I saw that story, I just quickly went to check. Is it terminal?
Yeah.
And they said it's treatable,
it's
so
treatable.
we're safe.
Right, it's exactly what I did. But yes, we're glad that it's treatable, and he just needs time off to get it sorted out. Well, that's all we have on entertainment tonight.
And for you tonight, do send us your eyewitness report. The number to do so is now on your screen. You can follow us on social media as well, at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and on YouTube. Thank you for your kind attention. Have a good night.